Every war has two battlefields. One you can see tanks, missiles from frontlines, casualties on the news, and one you can, the minds of the people fighting it. Most people focus only on the first one, but history shows us something uncomfortable. Wars don't always end when one side runs out of weapons. They end when one side stops believing. So today we're asking a question nobody wants to answer about out loud. Can psychologically actually stop the war in Ukraine? 1. The core idea. Think of any war like a computer with two components: the hardware, weapons, tanks, soldiers, logistics, and the software, moral, ideology, propaganda, the will to keep fighting. Military strategists attacks the software. It always has, but psychologically attacks something far more fragile. The software. You can stop a bullet that's already been fired, but you can stop the next soldier from pulling the trigger if you change what he believes. 2. Mechanism 1. Dismantling the recruitment machine. Russia constantly needs new soldiers. Its war propaganda works on the one core message: the West and Ukraine wants to destroy us. What happens when that story starts to crack? When a soldier returns from the front and tells his family quietly at the kitchen table that Ukrainians are not monsters, that they were treated humanly when captured, that the enemy looks a lot like them, that story travels, it spreads, and the next young man hesitates before signing the contract. Without the will to fight, even the best armed military runs dry. 3. Mechanism 2. The invisible opposition. Every authoritarian regime fears one thing above all else: not protesters in the streets. Those can be beaten back. What they truly fear is a silent shift in beliefs. Mothers who stop believing their sons died for something real, veterans who whisper doubt instead of pride, ordinary people who begin to think this war was a mistake. You cannot arrest the truth, you cannot imprison doubt, and when that doubt reaches critical mass inside a region of population, the system loses its foundation from within. 4. Historical proof. This isn't theory. It has happened before. With Vietnam, USA. The United States have superior weapons, superior logistics, superior everything on paper. They've lost because the software failed. The public stopped believing. Soldiers stopped believing. The political will collapse from inside. Afghanistan, Soviet Union. The USSR wasn't driven out by Stinger missiles. It was driven out by Soviet mothers, the Soldiers' Mothers Committee, who forced the state to confront an unbearable truth: their sons were dying for a life. The pattern in the both cases, the world ended not when weapons ran out, but with belief ran out. 5. The crucial distinction: temporary peace versus real peace. If Ukraine wins only military, if it pushes Russian forces back to the border through force alone, what then? The ideologically remains, the resentment remains, the propaganda machine rebuilds, and in 10 years a new war begins. But if Ukraine also wins psychologically, if it plants sense of doubt, humanity, and reflection deep enough inside Russian society, then Russia doesn't just lose the war. Russia begins to change, slowly, imperfectly, but genuinely. That is the only kind of peace that lasts. 6. Closing. So, can psychologically stop a war? Not overnight, not alone. Weapons keep Ukraine alive today. That matters enormously. Without them, there is no tomorrow to fight for. But weapons alone will not build the tomorrow worth having. For that, you need something stronger, harder, and ultimately more powerful. The deliberated strategy chose to treat the enemy as a human being. Not because it is naive, because it is the only thing that has ever actually worked. This is the long game, and it has already begun.